Okay, it says we're live. Um, it's Monday morning, August 31st, 2015, 10 a.m. Central Time. This is the start of a new format we're doing here in User to User. There'll be three question and answer periods daily. That's at 10 a.m. to 10:30 Central Time, 1 p.m. to 1:30 Central Time, and 7 p.m. to 7:30 Central Standard Time. We are going to try and do several different things that are going on. We'll try some crowdcast. We'll probably try some blab at some point. Right now, I'm just sort of feeling my way. Um, may not always do an event. We may just post a link in the user to user community at those times daily. It just all depends on what people want. I know if you do an event, then people get invited and they get a lot of notifications. They may not want that. Whereas if we post just a link in the community, they can turn the notifications for that on or off. If they don't want to get the notifications, they just go straight to the community and find the link and come in. So there's still some building to be done about the best way to do it. And if you all have any ideas or suggestions about that, please be sure and post them in the user to user community, which you will see the link to right there in yellow. So, with that said, if there's anybody out there watching right now that would like to come into the film strip, just post a message in the event page comments so that I know you're out there and I can invite you in. Um, Otherwise, I have no way of knowing if anybody's watching or if I'm just sitting here blabbering to myself. Maybe I should use a different term rather than blabbering because this isn't a blab. Um, anyway, that's a bridge we'll cross when we start using blabs. Um, there's not a whole lot this morning. I was working most of the time over the weekend to get the different banner set up for the three shows, to get one banner set up listing all of it so I could post a message in the community. I haven't had a lot of time to respond to some email and stuff because I've had some stuff going on here at the house, helping my sister with her police scanner thing and the neighborhood watch thing. Um, so, I'm here to answer questions. If you come in and you see me not saying a whole lot, that's because I have finally gotten comfortable with dead air time. Um, this is being recorded, so if you think there was something important, you can go back, look at it. You may notice there are times, but you've got the slider so you can adjust to see when I'm talking or when I'm, got my head down doing some other business because, as I say, I've gotten used to dead air time. I've got another computer going over here. I may be answering emails if nobody is in watching, letting me know that they want into the film strip. Um, Unless, of course, I'm doing a demonstration or a screen share or something like that. And that may come a little later, but probably not on this first show. Um, and I will probably, I'm a little conscious of time, so you will see me looking over at the clock every once in a while, see how much time I have left. Um, I know that this particular time slot, while it is good for certain members of the user to user community, there are certain other members which are also hosting HOAs at the same time. John Jerkowicz's show is on. Um, Tomorrow, this will be on at the my 1 o'clock show. Tomorrow will be on at the same time as Heather Crafter's show. Um, we'll have to find ways to work around that. Although the other show is an hour, mine's only a half hour, so I could do my 1 o'clock show and then run over her to hers at 1:30. Unfortunately, John's isn't that long, so I'm going to miss his on Monday mornings. But I can always go back and catch the replay. And if you haven't caught his show, I suggest you do so. It's a great little, 5 minute boom. That's it. It's God knows what he's talking about. He's got some interesting things to say. There's also somebody else that's got a show going on at this time, I think, but I forget who it is right now. Um, there's also the matter of the daily summaries. I was doing an event page for those, um, but there again, I may be flooding people with notifications. If that's the case, let me know, and I can always do just a posting of the daily summary in the user community as a post rather than set it up as its own event page and list, you know, in the details of each one in the comments on the event page. I can just do a straight post into the community. So let me know which you prefer. It's all about making it useful to you, the members of the community. Um, if I'm doing something you don't like, let me know. You know, if I'm doing something you want to see more of, let me know that too. I appreciate it. Uh, there will be a regular monthly hour-long show. I haven't decided exactly when yet. That will probably start sometime later this month or maybe October, depending on how I get things worked out. But there will be a monthly hour-long demonstration show of something or other. You know, if you've got suggestions for what that should be, let me know that too. We can, get that worked out. So I'm just going to sort of, this is where the ability of the blab would come in because I could pause this broadcast and then only start it up if somebody came into the film strip so that we're not recording all, a bunch of dead air or me just doing a monologue, which probably doesn't interest a whole lot of people. Um, but we'll see. Like I say, it's we now have. I've been on 8 minutes, 22 to go. There was something I was going to mention this morning, and due to my memory cells, it's just not coming to the forefront. I thought about it last night just before I went to sleep, and I can't remember what it was to save my soul. Oh, I know what it was. It was about getting suggestions from the community members on how to promote the community without appearing spammy. Now, I belong to upwards of 70 communities. Um, I don't do a lot of posting in a lot of them. I do a lot of lurking sometimes. I do comment in some. Um, and I know on the old Usenet, everybody used to have a signature line or a tagline. And I'm just wondering if you sign a post, like if I sign my post, Andrew Hatchett, HTTP, and put the link to the community under it on every post that I commented on, would that be considered spam? I mean, I'm going to be commenting whether I put the link to the community out there or not. Um, I will, of course, read each community's rules and regulations about links and everything, but I don't know that putting a link, just a link in your quote signature, and that's for Michael Daniels in case he's watching, uh, is actually uh, spammy or not. I guess I'll have to ask some of the top contributors over in Google Plus Help and whatnot what they consider. You know. Now this is interesting. I notice over on the event page itself, I have uh, my little YouTube subscription thing coming up. That's sort of neat. I must have put it through the whole thing. I just added that. I found a way to do it and decided I wanted to. I wanted to try and get some sort of little animation or video down there, which would be neat. Uh, oh, thank you, Richard. Would you like to come into the film strip, Richard? Just let me know. I can send you an invite. I see he commented that on the event page. I'm doing a split screen thing. I'm glad to see that at least I've got one person out there listening. Uh, but yeah, I do want to promote the community. Mainly, I want more people in here. I'd love to be able to catch newer people that are joining Google Plus. Help them get started on Hangouts the right way. Help them start communities the right way. I've been playing over in the owners and moderators community a while. There's a guy over there, Josh Levitt, starting up a new community. He's doing well. Uh, he and I have corresponded some. Oh, actually, Richard doesn't have his camera, so he won't be joining us in the film strip, but he's listening and watching, and I appreciate that. Uh, if there's anybody else out there that I don't know about, just make a comment. At least I'll know you're out there, can acknowledge you, and thank you for watching. Uh, let's talk a little bit about Blab and some use cases. I know that it's the latest bright, shiny object, people are chasing. Um, it's got its uses. My personal opinion is business use isn't one of them yet. If you're looking to do live stuff, now if you're looking to do a side by side interview, that would be one use that I could definitely see because you've got the four quadrants, you can put people in, you lock the other two seats, don't let anybody else into the blab. Now, you get that recording, and then you could use that recording if it's with an author or something. You give them a copy, they can use it to promote their book, you can use it to promote other interviews that you're going to be doing with other people. I see that as a great use case. Uh, Unfortunately, it doesn't help you build a mailing list at this point. I understand that that is in the works and is being looked at. It has a huge potential. It is easier to get into than Google Hangouts. Um, I'm not sure about it being so open where just anybody can look up a topic and join in. If I'm having a conversation with friends, I may not want strangers dropping in. You know, that's something that has to be looked at. Of course, if I don't mind, and I'm just, expounding on a particular subject, and anybody's welcome to throw their 2 cents in, it's marvelous for that. Marvelous for that. Um, Especially if a subject like genealogy, that it will probably take off real quick for that. You know, for general conversation, it is great. Crowdcasts, I particularly like the Q&A feature, and I'll probably be using that on some of my half-hour shows. Uh, I may figure out like on Monday, post one for Friday, uh, so that we can get questions in ahead of time, research answers, that type of thing. Uh, I can see a real use case for that too. And maybe even then, say you have the crowdcast thing, and then you hold an after party type thing in a blab session. I mean, there is so much now than there more now than there was a year ago. I mean, a year ago we had the Google Plus regular Hangouts, we had business Hangouts, we had Webinar Jam, uh, and quite frankly, none of them are easy. You have to take time to learn to operate the platform as it's supposed to be operated on. Uh, Unfortunately, there's a tendency for a lot of people to jump in and say, why isn't it done this, that, or the other way? And it all depends on what the developer is aiming for. I mean, granted, they are all aiming at the general on-air video market, but I think they have different segments that they're aiming for. Webinar Jam, to me, and this is my personal opinion, it seems to be aimed more at marketeers that are pushing product. I need you to buy this course. I have this set of cooking pots and pans. For the next 30 minutes, you can get a 15% discount off. That type of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. People have to make a living. You know, business hangouts to me seems it's more on the webinar seminar side of things. You may have a product that you're exposing to the public, but it's also it tends to be more educational in my opinion than a webinar jam. Google Hangouts, they're somewhere in between. The Google got on the business part of it late. You know, uh, when they first started Hangouts, they didn't aim for the business crowd. They weren't interested in the business crowd. I've got a letter from a Google employee that says that they are not interested in the business side of it because they felt it was supposed to take away from the social side of it. They have since seen the error of their ways. Um, so it all depends on what you want out of a platform. It's that old saying, there is no best, only what's best for you. If you've got a jewelry shop and you know holding seminars to educate people on how to select a diamond, you might want business hangouts. If you're actually trying to sell diamond rings, you may want to go to Webinar Jam. If you want to stay in touch with your customers and hold, you know, a weekly or monthly thing with your present customers, Google Hangouts would be great for that. It's also great for one-on-one, as is Business Hangouts. Now, Blab, it it's not private; it's public. So you know they may change that at some point, but you know, until they do, I can't see it uh, taking off in the business sector as such. There's just there's for business use, in my opinion, it's lacking some things. I understand they're working on them, and I'm going to be following it closely to track its development. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in Crowdcast. Um, I'm also interested in helping promote the users of this community in what they are doing with their Hangouts. I want to remind everybody, if you have a public event, that you are doing, let me know about it. Send me an invitation so I can get it into the daily summary. That helps in two ways. It will help expose your event, maybe get you some more, attendees or whatever. And then after the event is recorded to YouTube, I get a notification of that because I subscribe to every member's YouTube channel. When they upload an event, I know about it. Every day I post all the YouTubes from the previous day onto a blog. So if anybody misses a day, they can go back and see what they missed on that day. Um, so if you let me know about it, you get your event promoted. You also get your videos promoted that people can go back and easily find. If they know that you're a member of the community, they don't have to go to your YouTube channel. If they know you've got a weekly show, all they've got to, and they missed last week's, say that you held it last Monday, all they've got to do is go over to the blog, go down to the date of last Monday, and it lists all. They just scroll through and pick your thing. It's real easy. Uh, and yes, Richard, I agree with you. It is a lot like early Hangouts, very much so. Yeah. Um, and the hashtags, sad to say, I have not. I know a lot of people use them. I never got into the habit of using them, and I try to remember to, but I rarely do. It's unless I've had 6 cups of coffee pumped into me, and and that's hard to do because I do most of my heavy posting and stuff after midnight because with the daily summaries, I have to wait for the correct date and everything. So most of my hard work is really done after midnight. Uh, but I should get into the habit of using hashtags more. I'm trying to train myself, but when you get to be my age, it's hard to train yourself to do anything unless you've been doing it for 50 years already. Yeah. So, oh, it is now 10:23. I didn't realize I had rambled on so long. Um, let's see what else Richard has to say here. Uh, Also search for things that they use on hashtag. Yeah. Uh, it's good for collaboration and audience participation. Yes, it is. In fact, it's almost too much so. And I'll tell you why. Uh, if you're in a blab, particularly, true, Richard says I could try hashtagging genealogy, see blobs on that subject. True. Uh, if you start a blab and you're hosting it, okay, that's one thing. If you're taking part in it, that's something else. But if you're hosting a blab, you tend to be paying attention to the 4 people on the screen. To pay attention to what they're saying and to keep up with comments on the side, you almost have to have a wingman in there to do that for you. Particularly if I watched one the other night. They had the 4 people, and then they had 54 people in their comment. I mean, that those comments were just flying by. There was no way that had I been hosting that thing that I could have, you know, commented on any of them because they were just going by too quick. In fact, I'm not even sure that a wingman would have helped that particular case. Um, so I'm not sure exactly how that would be handled, whether you go back and look at it afterwards and maybe try and comment on something or I'm not sure exactly how that's done. Uh, I don't have a lot of hosting experience on Blab. In fact, I only have tried to host one. And that was early, early, early in the morning, and I did it just to see how you set it up and everything. I was on and off within 5 minutes. Um, so you know, that that's that. Now I have done some private crowdcasts, set up some test ones, and done some. Rain Dial has been kind enough to help me with some testing there. Um, and that's one thing I would like to thank all the community members for is usually when yell goes out, help, I need testing or something, you all are so quick to jump in and help. I really, really, really appreciate that, and I know Michael does too. Um, yeah, it's wonderful to have a community like this. I'm thrilled to death with the way it has developed, and it's because of you, the members, that it has developed the way it has. It's my honor to really to have a group of people like this. I thoroughly enjoyed. I hope getting back to this 3 times a day thing because I haven't been able to be online as much as I would have liked. I hope this, you know, helps people. Once the word spreads, I hope we get some of the English people in here. Uh, Richard says if you record it, you can go back and see it with comments too. You're in a video. I honestly don't think I recorded mine. I think I just jumped into push buttons and see how it worked and it was gone because it was late at night. I think it was like something like between 1 and 2 in the morning. It was right after I finished doing the user-to-user video log. Uh, and I didn't have many that night. I think that night I only had 8 or 9 videos to transfer. Uh, but I'm going back and I am going to play with it. I probably will start playing with it this weekend now that I've got most of the stuff for the 3 times a day set up and everything. Uh, I'm hoping eventually that some of our British counterparts will join us in these early hangouts in the 10 a.m. and the 1 p.m. because that particularly the 10 a.m. it was chosen for the early East Coast people and the mid-afternoon European continent. Uh, yes, that's that's the one thing Richard mentioned being able to stop the recording on Blab, and that is one feature that I really, really, really intend to test because, quite frankly, it's a feature that all the other apps need. Google Hangout needs it, Business Hangout needs it, Webinar Jam needs it. It is a function greatly desired by almost all users of all platforms. And I'm tickled to death to see it finally come to fruition on at least one of them. Uh, and that's what makes it interesting is because each of these platforms has a different way of doing things. They each can be tailored to a specific use case. For instance, if I'm doing a demonstration, I may want to do the demonstration on Blab simply because I can pause and restart the recording. Where you can't do that on any of the other platforms yet. And I say yet because eventually these platforms are going to cross feed off of each other. They will all sooner or later develop about the same feature set. Uh, they almost have to keep up with the competition, and that's good for all users. That's once they all reach a certain level of maturity, then things are really going to blossom for the users. You can count on that. It's just like everything else in computing. You've got to get a certain mass, and then it just sort of rolls forward on its own after that. It's just getting to that certain level before it takes off. And we are headed there. There's no doubt about that. Video is now playing a bigger and bigger and bigger part in all types of marketing, all types of education. And that can only be good for those of us who enjoy doing it. Be it for education or marketing or just keeping track of family or whatever. You know, this is between this and mobile phones. Uh, the old landline is pretty dead. I'm probably one of the few people that don't have a mobile device, mainly because I don't go out anywhere. I'm here. I've got my computers. Uh, so I really don't need one. You know, but this is the future of communication. The quicker you learn how to operate this stuff, the better. And the quicker you learn different platforms, I would strongly recommend you may have a favorite platform, as I did, but I've come to the realization that one platform, even though I know it very well, I've got to stay up with the other platforms if I'm going to be of any use to members of this community. You know, if somebody asks me a question about Blab, I'm going to have to know the answer or know somebody who knows the answer. You know, uh, so it's going to be an interesting development as things go forward. Um, I see we've run 2 minutes over, so I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. I will be back on at 1 p.m. Central Time. Look for a posting in the user to user community. Right there's a link to it. Uh, because while I did an event for this event, I did not set up events for the 1 p.m. and the 7 p.m. The link for those will be posted in the user to user community. Richard, I thank you for taking part in all this, and I hope to see you later today. Take care, all. Bye.